Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is June 10th. This is episode 82. This is a conservative-leaning podcast, but I do take in the issues of both sides. And if it makes sense for the conservatives, that's the way I'm going. If it doesn't, that's what I'll be telling you why it doesn't make sense. It's about common sense. It's about not even political correctness. It's just about common sense. Does it follow the playbook of the Constitution? I'm a Federalist. I'm a Republican, a conservative, not MAGA. And I know a lot of people say Federalists are independents. No, I'm a Republican and a conservative. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on in Maine with the elections, L.A., and what's going on in Iran right now, which is who knows, and Walz and the Attorney General for Minnesota are being forwarded for investigation by the Department of Justice over fraud. We knew this was going to happen, that this was the normal path it would take, and we'll discuss why that is the case. I haven't been on for about a week. Just was not feeling good. And you know what I've said before, when I'm not feeling good, I'm not doing the show. I'm feeling a little better, but we'll see how things work out. All right, let's jump into it. It's going to be a short show, 30 minutes today. If you're watching this on a short, jump on over. It will be on my videos. All right, in Maine, of course, the big news is not Susan Collins. It is Democrat Graham Paltner. And there are Democrats on the Hill that are saying that with some new information coming out, that Paltner is going to step off the ticket. Which, personally, I don't see that happening. Unless the information coming out is so damning that, he must. The Democrats are pressuring him behind the scenes, big time, saying that you're going to drag down everyone. Everyone's going to be looking at, Democrat and him and everything else that's going on inside the Democratic Party today. And they would rather him step aside and let the governor run for the Senate seat against Susan Collins. Now, that should have been the main sense of the Democrats way in the beginning, because she won as governor. She won the election. She's electable. This guy, I don't know. I think this guy just comes with a lot of luggage. A lot of luggage. And even though a lot of this stuff happened in his past, and he did address some of it, he didn't have to go into, every girlfriend that he had, but when you run for a political office, you're going to stand naked to the public, wrinkles, pimples, and all. And that's the way that works. And how the DNC allowed this to continue and take place is absolutely mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. That they didn't see this coming down the road and try to steer the bus. Now, at the end of the day, I agree. It's the people, it's the voters that are going to steer the bus. But we all know that Republicans steer the bus. I almost said steal, but it's steer the bus, and the Democrats steer the bus. The DNC and the RNC, they navigate that, or they should. DNC has been doing a absolute horrid job. And it's just lack of, so much infighting. So much infighting that they're just falling apart from within. It's very little that the Republicans have to do to take them on. The dysfunction of the DNC is almost in unheard of territory. I mean, you just can't make some of this stuff up. You know, you got Jeffries in Congress, in the House of Representatives, minority. He's an absolute disaster. Everything this guy opens his mouth up about, he's proven wrong. And not just wrong on a, you're actually lying, and just bold-faced lying, and it gets called out on it. The Democrats are being called out on it by what they always thought were safe havens in their media, getting called out on it. Schumer got called out on it. In today's world, and this goes for Republicans too, everything that you have said in the past 30 years, if it was on a news thing or it was recorded, can instantaneously be brought up. You just put the subject matter in. Did this person ever say? Did they, when they discussed this? And you come through and you're just finding, okay, you said 3 months ago this, or you said a year ago that, or you said way back when, and now you're saying something different. When did that change happen? And by all means, a person can change the direction they're going in or thinking in as more facts or common sense steps in. They might go, yeah, I might have been wrong then, and I changed, or now I disagree with what I was saying then, and because of these reasons, I've changed. And that's fine. That's perfectly legitimate. And, to me, I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican, both are acceptable. You don't have to plant your feet in cement and that's where you stay forever. No. I don't want that either. So, but the Democrats are just, I don't get it. I don't get it. They are just so dysfunctional because they are fragmented into so many little groups. And if you're trying to herd them together, it's like herding cats. They're all over the place. And you'll never get them into a corral, or you'll never get them back into the barn. It's just not happening. And the Democrats are just, we're going to reinvent ourselves. This group's going to reinvent itself. This group's going to stay this. This group is going to be over here. And you just can't get a consensus out of these people. And it's showing up. It's showing up in the voting. You could just see in L.A. a sitting mayor, Democrat, liberal, progressive, should have absolutely no one challenging her on her own team. And yet, we saw the fight, and Spencer Pratt came very close to having a runoff with the mayor, for a special primary to see if he would be the Democratic pick. And of course, 2 days after the election, a whole bunch of mail-in votes show up. We've seen this. And in California, you're allowed to backdate your vote. So very strange. Very, very strange. Spencer Pratt is off, as of right now. And socialist, communist, L.A., councilperson Nithya Raman is now is going to be in a runoff against Mayor Bass. Now, Mayor Bass will win the runoff. I have no doubt about that. But this was done. This was done so that Bass would have a shoo-in. No doubt about it. Now, whether she'll win against a Republican, that's yet to be seen. Bass has a lot of questions to answer about a lot of things, and I think that it will be a closer race than it should be. But she'll win because it's L.A. It's L.A. They don't care as long as you're a Democrat, liberal. You're going to win. And she has money behind her, and she has entertainment people behind her. So I can't see her losing in the general election. This is not bourbon or anything like that. It's iced tea. And I really shouldn't be drinking the iced tea, sweet tea. But like I said, I've been sick, so I got to be taking it easy. And of course, Los Angeles is fighting the same problem. San Francisco is fighting the same problem. New York is fighting. And, lots of blue major cities are fighting. And that is the exodus of jobs and exoduses of money. And in those particular states, California, it's just the wealth is moving away. And New York and New Jersey, they're just being bitten hard by the exodus. And, on the East Coast here, a lot of it's going, into the Carolinas, mostly South Carolina, and Florida and Texas. Tennessee, too, is seeing a huge influx of migrating Northerners. And why is this? It's because the political landscape in their states have made it so economically uncomfortable for anyone who's working, unless you're forced to stay there and you got a government job or you have a good union job. where you can keep your head above water. Most people can't do that. If you're a business, you cannot stay in New York. You cannot stay in California and think that you can take your business, expand it. They're taxing you on everything. And you could say you have, oh, no, we have all these incentives. Yeah, they're not incentives. And they're not bribes either, but companies are realizing we can't do business in a state that, 5 years from now will sue us for stuff that happened 20 years ago before I even owned this company. And they just can't do business that way. It is not something where they could say, hey, we're going to take $1 billion and redo this, company over here, this plant, and sit there and go, yeah, we'd love to do that, but the last 3 years we got hit with $100 million fine, 30 million here, 50 million there, and you could all say, oh, well, that's because they were doing stuff wrong, all right, I can get that, but they just go, we're just going to move. If we have to redo our plant, let's do it somewhere else. We know we're going to have to spend $1 billion, so why not just spend it in a state that's going to give us some tax advantages? And, we're not asking that you look the other way, but don't come back when you change the rules. And you change the rules on us, and then all of a sudden they go, well, now you must pay. Well, why? Well, that happened, 10 years ago. Well, no, you must pay. And they're looking to get away from that. The salaries are too expensive to keep up because the state is, of course, if you're working, they're taxing you. And if they're not taxing you, they're hitting you at the pump. And if they're not hitting you at the pump, you got to pay a road usage fee. Well, that used to be called a toll. No, toll. No. Now we have a new fee. It's not a toll, and it's not a tax. It's a fee. It is out of control. Out of control, and there's not much that they're going to be able to do about it unless they move away. And you get, then the uber liberals in there who go, well, the people that are staying, they can't afford to move or, whatever, so they need more money to stay here. And as you circle the bowl, eventually it goes down the drain. And that's what's going on. And if you're not going to stop your reach for easy money, I would go after these companies. We'll go after Exxon. We'll go after Chevron. We'll go after Coca-Cola. We'll go out for the people that make the most mozzarella cheese to all the restaurants and all the people, Pizza Hut, Domino's, and they leave your state. You're losing jobs. You're losing all the people in those areas that go to delis, that go grocery shopping, that go buy gasoline, that have their cars repaired, that go to schools, that pay taxes. Gone. And these are good paying jobs. Probably the only jobs that are not going to be leaving like that in California and up the coast is any of the longshoremen. Any of your jobs that have to do with port of entry for goods. They're doing all right. But when you're paying these guys, and I'm not saying that they're not worth it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind someone making money. But when you started there 8 years ago at $58,000 a year, and now you're up at $170,000 a year, well, that cost has to come from somewhere. That cost has to be rectified by something, and that's higher cost to you and me. When the train yards in California are being robbed, that they have to build these huge barricades because the police aren't going to come and take care of that. No, not our jurisdiction. That's on train property. That's federal. That's not us. And they're losing billions of dollars in theft. Well, who do you think pays for that? And you have a government there that's not going to help them. Well, the people that want those goods, they're going to have to pay for that. The losses, the insurance, the infrastructure to build all this stuff. Yeah. So, would cost, $300 a ton to ship by train is now $1,200 per ton. Where do you think that money comes from? You think the retailer or the wholesale person's paying that? They're paying it, but they're passing that on 2 or 3 times to you. And that's because of a government that would not take care of their industry, would not watch, would not help, would not address. You look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look at the railroad thefts in Los Angeles. Look at the railroad thefts in Philadelphia. Just look it up. It's easy to do. Google, Grok it, Copilot, and see what answers you get. And California won't fix its problems, will never fix its problems. Because the problem is systemic. You had mayors, you had a governor that invited everyone in. We'll give them universal health care. We'll do this, we'll do that. Come in. And that was just to get votes. They were getting people on the votes. Now, mayors in a lot of places, there is no citizenship clause in there that they have to be a citizen. So anyone can vote. So the people that allowed you to come into this country illegally, gave you housing, and helped you, you're going to vote against them? Not the first generation, maybe the second and third generations that get Americanized and they go, hey, I want more of my money that I earn. Yeah, then it might change. So, and that's exactly what happened with the black votes too. As the blacks became more middle class and said, hey, I want to keep the money I earn. Well, guess who they turned to? Republicans. So what did the Democrats have to do? You have to bring in a new crop. And you think I'm making this stuff up? All right. So we have Bass and the communist battling it out in a primary. And we know Bass is going to win. He's going to win. So we'll see what happens there. Pratt is out. Spencer Pratt. He had a good run. I thought he stood a chance. There was a possible, but not in the people. People could care less what your house burned down. Good, it should have. You're rich. And that's what they think there. And you had insurance. What's the problem? All right. Iran. The Iranian spokesperson Abbas Akachi stated that it was not the intention of Iran to shoot down the, I guess it was a Black Hawk helicopter or Apache, doesn't matter. And that they didn't mean, it wasn't their intention to do that. And they said, well, we blame the United States because they're in here and, we're allowed to protect our country and we're allowed to do this. And, sometimes mistakes happen, Yeah. So Trump responded. He took out a water treatment plant in someplace else. And, Iran now is scrambling. And the problem in Iran, you just don't know who to deal with anymore. And you just don't know who to deal with. You're not going to win the war with drones. You're not going to win the war with missiles. You're going to win the war by putting boots on the ground and strangling the people into submission. We did that in Germany. We almost did that in Japan, but we used an atomic weapon to do the strangling. You can't do that now. And you can honestly say that probably most of the Iranians aren't thrilled over the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. But they're the ones with all the guns. They're the last ones pointing guns at us. So, yeah, we're going to listen to them. We're not happy about it. But, what choice do we have? America wants its wars won quickly and decisively, and we don't want it messy. And I don't know how these people think you could do that. It's unrealistic, and when you have unrealistic expectations, you're going to have unrealistic results. Iran had 47 years to arm itself to the teeth. Weaponry, political friends outside, people that they controlled outside their borders, money, and then got into the boldness of saying we're going to start a nuclear program. Even though they swore up and down this wasn't going to be used for a nuclear bomb, but we're going to destroy Israel by whatever means is necessary. Well, you know what? Trump and not Netanyahu, probably Netanyahu, who said, we know that they're a problem. And they can't be trusted. And as soon as they lob one at us, we're going to lob 50 at them. And we might be able to stop most of them, but all we need here is for 2 or 3 of them to land here, and, our country's gone. And believe me, there'll be some going towards England. There'll be some going towards whoever else they could reach that they deem as an enemy of Iran. Because when Iran goes down the tubes and they have nuclear weapons, they're taking people with them. And as crazy as North Korea is, we expect them to say, death to America. That's been the chant since the 1950s. And yeah, do they have nuclear weapons? Are they able to deliver them? Not yet, but they might. They could deliver them in a torpedo. They might be able to deliver them in a short-range missile without super accuracy. But it's the nice things about hand grenades. You don't always have to be accurate with them. It helps, but they're meant to be very, very fragmentational. And what do you think a nuclear weapon is? But I don't fear North Korea as much as I would fear a nuclear Iran. And we all know that their neighbors do not like Iran. So I'm hoping that President Trump just decides just to stop playing games with them. We don't need their oil. As a matter of fact, it goes against us having them as a competitive partner, and don't blow up their oil fields. Just blow up everything else that those oil fields depend on. Electric, roads, shipping. Now you die on the vine. And be done with it. The money runs out, believe me, loyalty runs out too. All right. Waltz, I have 32 minutes here. I'm going to go just for 5 minutes on this. Waltz and Attorney General Keith Ellison are being recommended by Vance, Vice President Vance, to be investigated for the mishandling of taxpayers' money. And that they were aware of the fraud going on, but took no concrete steps to stop it, which is the truth. That's not a lie. And listen, fraud happens all over. I don't care if it's a blue state, red state, fraud happens. It is how you're made aware of it. What steps did you have to bring that to your attention? And if you didn't, well then, or if you had those things and you weren't doing them. Ellison, a lot of the people that are charged with the fraud were people that he had been very closely associated with. So that needs to be looked at. I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but you might want to take a peek at that. The House Committee the House Oversight Committee on Government Reform also said that, Waltz and the Attorney General, they need to be questioned a lot more by the DOJ, because their answers just weren't consistent with innocent people. And Waltz, how, again, could the DNC, and they knew about this going in to the election, and they chose this guy. Why? Because they were funneling a lot of money to Democrats. And if Harris would have won, they would have pushed their Department of Justice away from looking. And it wouldn't even be kicking the can down the road. This was the nexus point of fraud. And there were a lot of other states that followed the same plan. And they didn't want this coming out. If it did come out while Harris was president, she could distance herself and go, well, you know, we heard rumors about her, but now look at the proof. And then moron Walls would resign, and Hillary would get to pick Michelle. Harris would have gotten to pick Hillary. Harris could have picked Cory Booker, Stacey Abrams, Wasserman. You don't know who she would have picked. Now, I always said it would have been for VP. Chucky Schumer would have grabbed that. And what a wonderful thing. You'd have a left coast and east coast. So, and, but it didn't turn out that way because Biden stayed in the race too long. The Democrats, DNC, couldn't push him out because that would, look really bad. And after he did the debate, they had no choice. They knew they were going to lose. The White House was lost. They couldn't lose the House of Representatives. They just couldn't lose it. And they lost it anyway. So all their fears came true. Because they had no other choice but to go after, use Harris. I mean, if she was the vice president and something would have happened to Biden, she'd be the president. So, and, and then when she, ran, she goes, no, I'm going to do everything that Biden would do, which would make sense to me. But people want to know, we want to know what you would do. I have no idea what I would do. No one ever asked me. And I said the one thing that she was good at was she was a good soldier. They told her, this is what we want you to do, this is what we want you to say, this is the way we want you to act. You got it. Wasn't a really good salute, but you got it. Shoulder has to be up here. But she did it. So Ellison and Walsh are going to be questioned more by the Department of Justice, and Ellison's a lawyer. He'll know how to handle himself. Walsh is an idiot, and he'll have a very good lawyer. But his passwords and everything else will be brought out, and yeah. You don't think Walsh is something's not going to happen to his ticker? You don't think, something's not going to happen to this guy? They're gonna dust off the old Clinton playbook. How do we get rid of these people? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, now I remember. All right, 40 minutes. I'm going to thank everyone. I'm going to just get this show at the door real quick. Probably just put my little thing up there when I put the video up. Right now, this will be on my live, but I thank everyone who has joined. I appreciate it. Who have subscribed to my channel. Stuck this long, thank you. Please give to a charity if you can. Just make sure that's a legit charity. Don't become a victim trying to help a victim. If you're not interested in that, you don't feel comfortable with it, which certainly can understand. Please think about giving to a local food bank. We do it, and we do support a lot of groups that have fundraisers for it. And it's a nice way to go, and you might get a plate of pasta and meet some people and talk and have a good time. Or just go to see a local food bank at a church, synagogue, a mosque, where they help people. Buy a couple extra cans every week, and once a month, make a drop off. They'd be more than happy, more than happy. And if you went there with that stuff, and you ask, we're giving this and we're giving that, but what is the stuff that you really need? Here I picked up 4 extra cans of corn and this and that, and that's nice. But do you need the little hot dog sausages? Do you need Spam? Do you need this? Do you need women products or children products? So my next trip, I can bring something in that, really useful to you right then and there, other than money. So with that, also please say a prayer. Prayer does work no matter what a Democrat might tell you. With that, I thank everyone. I'll be at Socrates Station tonight in Socrates, South Carolina. Great food, great bar, great people, reasonable price. Best place to eat in town. All the way around. It's between Murrells Inlet and Myrtle Beach. Socrates Station, not a sponsor, but a hell of a good time that I have there. All right, everyone. Be safe, be good, and I'll catch you all later as I fade to black.